Welcome, everyone. This is Kat Sanford, and I am the Abundance Alchemist. And I want to welcome you to day 3 of the Money Matters 5-day challenge. And we are going to get started. Today, we're going to be talking about money habits. But before we get into that conversation, I'm going to just do a little grounding for us. And so I want to invite you to close your eyes if that feels good and that is safe to do so. If not, you can just softly gaze at something that is enjoyable to look at that makes you happy. So either way, whatever feels good to you. I always like to put my hand over my heart just for a little bit of extra support and love. You also can put your hands on your thighs, either down or up, whatever, depending if you want to get a little bit more grounded, you can rub your hands on your thighs if that feels good, or just be seated with your palms up. So those are opportunities for you. So what we're going to do is we are just going to call in support and abundance. And I am actually going to guide you through the Ho'oponopono prayer, one of my favorites. And so for me, it is a great prayer of forgiveness. And so sometimes when it comes to money mindset, money habits, there might be some forgiveness that we need to extend to ourselves, some love and compassion for ourselves and for others. So I'm going to guide you through this short prayer. I'm going to say this 3 times for you. So as I'm guiding you through the prayer, just be thinking of what you need today. Do you need to forgive yourself for some past money choices, money attitudes? Or is there someone else, maybe others, plural, that you can extend this prayer to? So you get to choose. So before we begin, if you want your breathing to be nice and easy and relaxed, so just breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. And so we'll get started. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So just a few more soft, relaxing breaths. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the space. Shake it off if you need to. So, Monday we talked about, day 1 we talked about money mindset, and day 2 we talked about money values. And so big stuff, big conversations with ourselves and with each other in the group. So what I would like to do right now is, before we get into the money habits exercise, is what can we celebrate for you? So what ahas, money breakthrough ahas, insights are you having? And if there's something that's coming up for you that's what I call a little sticky, a little messy, and you'd like to share that, just remember this is a safe space for you to take this heart-centered approach to your relationship with money. And my dog says hi downstairs. You might be able to hear him because he's got the loudest bark ever. Who has something they want to celebrate? Okay, I'll kick us off. So this morning, my husband asked me, he's like, babe, can you take a look at the bank account for a couple of months and the credit card statement for a couple of months? Because there's some recurring charges that are showing up. And do you think there might be some things that we can take that you can take a look at that are subscriptions that maybe can be canceled? And I said yes. So the celebration is I said yes, no problem. I'm actually teaching that today. And there was no emotional upset around that. I did not make it mean anything about me. It was just a request, and it's something that I'm in awareness that needs to be done. So that's a celebration, because in the past, that's one of the part of my story, like how I got on this journey to be a money mindset mentor, is that would have triggered feelings of unworthiness, I'm bad with money, lots of different mindset. So that's my celebration. Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I'm celebrating.
From our conversation yesterday and looking at like what I was taught was a good way to invest money versus a bad way, I had a discovery that when I get scared and when I get worried about money or a big fear around where clients will come from or any money fears, I default to investing more money in learning because I got a message that education is always a good investment. And so sometimes rather than tap into what I already know, I get scared and I sign up for a ton of classes and I go into that default mode that was passed on to me. And now after yesterday's session, I started to realize, like, is that what I want to do? You know, I just like got more choices and more space around that default pattern. And I'm really grateful for your container and your process to do that reflecting and then be able to do the conscious choosing around it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And can we unpack that for just a
Sure.
minute? Because I think it will bring value to the group and to anybody watching the replay. So, and I am a lifelong learner. So I'm a committed lifelong learner. I too invest in courses, invest in education. So one of the things that happened for me is my first official step into showing up in the world as a coach was to become a heart-centered facilitator. And beautiful program, lots of great content, but I had never been in that space. And for me, the heart-centered facilitator, it really feels like the realm of life coaching. And that's beautiful. And I could do that. I had those experiences. So when I did that, I was like, I couldn't see. I think for me, I was like, what I realize now is I was like dealing with imposter syndrome. So I'm going to tell you my story, and then the opportunity I think for all of us is to reflect just further, like what's showing up, you know, is what's the why behind this. And so there was that. So I went and got 2 other certifications behind that, including money breakthrough business coaching, which I love, and it's aligned, it resonates, and I'm blending that and the heart-centered facilitation curriculum together into my business. So, but I have finally had to stop and be like, Kat, you know enough. You're an expert. You've been in business as an entrepreneur for 20 years. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's like I was 4 when I started. Okay. So yeah, it's time to implement. And it's also, and Stacey, if you're a creative person, I think that's a natural tendency too, because you're like curious about, does this resonate? Like, are you curious about other things? And, you know, and
Yeah.
you want to learn. So, I mean, I think that there's a blessing in that. Obviously I think everybody on this call is a coach of some form. And so we believe in coaching. Yeah. So but it's having, congratulations on raising the awareness and realizing that if you choose to do something else, it's okay that I mean, that's what you value. You value education and you want to invest in that. But then the opportunity is for you to look at like what else is driving
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
financial decision. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
great.
realized that I was kind of hiding in it. Like I wasn't really trusting myself. So I was hiding in, well, let me learn all these other things, because that's the way to get to the money rather than trusting what I've already got.
Yeah, respect the work that you've done so far to get there. So great awareness, because when you start to look at your money habits and your money values and your mindset around money in general as an entrepreneur, when it comes to establishing your pricing and attracting clients and packaging your offers, this that awareness will probably show up for you again. So great share. I'm going to see, we got a couple of things in the chat, and then and feel free to come off mute if there's anything. Imposter syndrome. Yeah, that's why I'm having trouble. Let's see, somebody said charging more for services. Okay. Yeah, good. Glad this is resonating. Okay, awesome.
I had a good aha. Well, Kat, you know this already, but just having this conversation this morning like has had a positive ripple effect because we talked about it in the conscious business immersion, and just some of the limiting beliefs that we have around money. Remember, I like stated it out loud. I'm like, hard work doesn't pay off, and another client was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Can we unpack this for a moment? And so I want to celebrate that, how it's just a reminder that by doing this heart work and by doing this work, that it does have a powerful impact on everybody else in our world as well. So yes, we might be doing it for us, but it ends up benefiting like our partner, which is what you said, Kat. It ends up benefiting our clients or our family and our friends. And so I wanted to celebrate that, sometimes we are doing this for us, but I can see how by doing this for myself, how it supports everybody else in my world too.
Great share. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, the work we're doing in the world is important, and what we do, it has a ripple effect. So when we step into having an empower money story, then whether you're having money conversations with your client, I mean, it's going to come up. You may not lead with, show up in the world as a money coach like I do, but if you're coaching people in life or business, money's going to touch that conversation at some point with your clients, but then also too, just, in your personal life as well. So, yeah, I'm just like laughing and smiling when I think about my husband, because he's an awesome guy. I love him, and he is a provider. And I've messed up money in my life and business and relationship, and he's still hung with me. So, it's all good. Emery, thank you for that share. Okay, so I'm really excited about today's session. This exercise is actually one of the pivotal pieces that I was working in when I decided I want to put this 5-day challenge out in the world. So, but I knew that there were some things that needed to come before this, because today we're going to dig into, actually look at our expenses. And so we're going to look at our money habits of where we're spending. Is the first thing we're going to do. So, and I just want to put some disclaimers out there before we get started. I want you to think of this as an emotional audit of your expenses. And it may be emotional for some of you. It can feel overwhelming to do this. And the great news is developing it's necessary, because what it's going to do is taking a look at your money habits. It's going to give you insight. And if you're choosing to have a money breakthrough and step into a more empowering relationship with your money, is you've got to know where your money is flowing. So I call this money habits. Where's the money flowing? And so it's basically a look at where is your money going. And so yesterday we talked about money values, and this insight is just going to help you dig a little bit deeper into that. So it's going to help you reveal things about yourself, your hopes, your dreams, what you value, and even what you fear. So what you're looking for in this, and you'll start to see this, but as you do the work and have the experiences, is you're looking for patterns. So, and I will have to be honest, the first time I did this exercise, I didn't get it all done. So I did some of it, I got really inspired, and then I was like, oh, this is energetically, I'm done. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to work through that. So just set all that like, oh, great, bummer stuff up, so that you know that it's okay. It's, this experience is your experience. So, and it's really, really insightful. So the intention behind this experience is just that, where is for you to have a look at where is your money flowing. And so as I guide you through the steps, that what I mean by that will get clearer, and then you'll have a chance to ask me questions too. So you're ready to jump in? Okay. So if you have the worksheet, you can take a look at page 1. And if you are watching on the replay, just go to the files section of the Facebook group so you can grab that. So what I included in the worksheet for you is the 5 life areas they do mirror the life areas that are featured in the Desire Map book by Danielle Laporte. And so I just took those because so that you have a way to focus on this exercise. And so what I'm going to have you do is I want you to pick one life area. And you can do this for all of your life areas if you want. So I recommend you pick either either career, so livelihood and lifestyle, or body and wellness. You don't have to pick those. I find that those are the areas where we tend to spend the most money. So if you feel like there's another area you'd rather focus on, that's totally fine. Go ahead and pick that. If you feel like there's an area that you're having a challenge in, pick that. That's a way that you could pick. So the choice is yours. Excuse me, my sinuses are a little crazy today. So what you're going to do is you're just going to have an honest, you're going to have a look, you're going to have a little emotional audit, look at your transaction history, and just have an honest conversation with yourself about money. So step 1 is to pick a life area. And what you're going to do is you're going to write down, and this isn't on the worksheet, so if you want to write yourself some notes, you're going to write down all of your expenses in that life area. So I recommend that at a minimum, you take a 3-month look. You may want to go back to 6 months if you have time, or if you want to, or to really get a picture. And so you're going to look at your recurring expenses, and places you will want to look are bank statements, credit card statements. Those are the 2 obvious. And then the hidden places like PayPal or Venmo or a Cash App like that, depending on where you're located and what you use. Your phone in the subscription section. So all the apps that you've paid for. And maybe even in your email, because you've gone online, you saw a course or you saw something and you bought it, and the receipts in your email. I mean, hopefully it's showing up someplace else too, like, your bank statement or credit card. So that may be duplicate work, but just think about, and please put in the chat if anybody else has got like, oh, there's also this other hidden place where I have an expense where money's flowing out. Anybody else have? Okay. And so just remember, I said that this can, so if you're automatically feeling triggered, let me know. You can put it in the chat because it can feel overwhelming. Somebody asked a question, personal income or business. You can pick. What I find that most entrepreneurs, their business expenses may be less than their personal. I recommend you start with your personal. Now, the personal may be more challenging to look at. Like for me, I have more reoccurring expenses in my personal life. Yeah. And if you have a partner, I recommend, like, I'm doing this exercise for myself first, and then I'm going to do it with my husband. And there's no right or wrong. You could do it together right away. The thing that I want to caution you on, if you're doing it with a partner, is schedule it. Schedule the time to do it. Pull the backup documentation you want, and then set yourself up for success before you ever get started, by talking to each other with about what the intention of the exercise is. And that in the beginning, do you remember when I talked about on day one, I just kind of briefly talked about one of the things that influences us is our individual money codes. And so that we each have an archetype or a series of archetypes that just also influence our money mindset, our money values, and our money habits. So just know that. That's one of the things I do, and I love it when I get to work with couples. So you definitely can do this with a partner if you have one. Just make sure that you set it up so that the conversation can be compassionate and with the intention of, this is just to raise your awareness. And let me be really clear, guys, like, I'm still in the process of doing, or ladies, excuse me, I'm still in the process of doing this exercise. So it's a practice. And does it mean I have it all perfect and figured out? No, but it's an awareness. And what it's done for me, and why this is important for you, is then you can just know, you can just have the knowledge, and then you can make choices. So let me guide you through this. So let me take you through the rest of the steps so we can connect the dots. Okay, so you're going to pick a life area. Some of this, and here's what I'm going to ask of you is spend 30 minutes to 90 minutes on this max, and then set it down, go do something else. If you want it to be like really complete, come back to it and see what else you're missing. Because what I recommend is, and basically we're doing a laundry list, like similar to what's in the heart-centered facilitation program and in the desire map, is write everything down and then put the amount, so that you've got two things you're looking at. You know what the expense is, and you know what the dollar amount is. Now, if you already have a budget and you can pull an Excel spreadsheet, that's perfect. I think there's some magic in writing this down and really seeing where we are. So have fun with it, be creative, but I recommend that you put the amount down and that you total it. And just remember, this is about giving yourself insights, okay? And then, so that's step one. So step one is to pick a life area, start looking at what are my expenses in this life area, what are my totals, and then step two, woo, I could use a cough drop right about now. Step two is You get to decide if it's a need for you. Question, we got a question. Yeah, so I would do monthly amounts. So if you have something that is flowing out weekly, then just total it up for a monthly average. Or if you have something that is an expense and it's just yearly, then you could break it down. Whatever works for you. Okay, so after you have your list, and you may want to print out on page 2 is a blank list for you to be able to do that. It's a spending list. So you might in some categories, you might have more than one page, and that's okay. It's just a look. Okay, and then so you're going to check if it's a need or a want. You decide that. A need is it's crucial. And a want is it would be nice if. There's no judgment here because everybody's needs and everybody's wants are different based on what we value, who we are, our circumstances. So no judgment. You get to decide. And just remember, this is a process. And then step 3 is what I call love it or leave it. And you get to decide if you love it, put a heart, put a smiley face next to it. And it could be something that is a need. It could be, it could be something that is a want. That or a luxury. Some people might, it might feel like a luxury, guilty pleasure, whatever. You get to decide. And if you're unsure if it's like I could leave it or no, I forgot I had that recurring charge, it's going away, put an X by it. And if you're not sure, then just put a question mark. I am just pausing because I want to give you a minute to see if you have any questions. Y'all like my typing? I was sending one of you a direct message. So somebody asked, what do you do if you do this exercise with a partner and you're reviewing your expenses and it's like, oh, that's fun money, what I call fun money. It's like, that's $10, that kind of thing. So I think that's part of the conversation too, is like, whether your money is commingled or not, there may be things you're both contributing to, is it's part of the conversation. Like, what's the one thing you could do is like, what's the dollar amount that we both feel comfortable with, that if it's beyond this, we're going to have a conversation before either of us spends this amount. So that's one way, you could approach that. And then the other thing too is just to honor what money values that each other have. So some of you may have already done this type of work and had these conversations with your partner, if you have a partner. And some of you, this may be, a new way of working together. So, and that's okay. So just, you'll see. It'll be interesting what comes up for you. But that's how I would address it. But also too, know that, like for me, our $10 here and $10 there, and stopping at the corner store is what we call it, which is the convenience store, and kiddo getting a snack or a soda or something, that was getting out of control for us. And I was like, where is this money? Like, I knew it, that was one of the places the money was flowing, but it was getting a little out of control. So what I did, right here, I went old school. I got an envelope and started asking for all of my receipts, even though I was using my card. This may sound like really redundant, but I was using some cash sometimes, but still using my debit card. And I just started saving the receipts. And I honestly have not gone back. Full disclosure, I haven't gone back and totaled these up, but there's something about doing that exercise that kept me in awareness around, oh, I can see corner store, a restaurant, a nice meal at a restaurant, gas, another corner store, I can quick glance, be like, oh, that's where. So what it's done for me, and I have lots of stories, y'all. If it's okay, I keep using myself as an example. It's been like, what can we do differently? So next time kiddo says, can you stop and get me some XYZ snack? I'm like, no, not this week, but I can just, and it's not about being so black and white and depriving ourselves of some of the joys and pleasures in life. It's not about that. Looking at our money habits is not about that. It's just an awareness. And then, especially if you don't like what your bank account looks like, especially if it's making you feel out of alignment, if it's making you feel a certain way that is not empowering, that you've got a scarcity mindset around spending money, save you're not, all those things. And so that's what the opportunities are there. So I hope I answered that question. That was a long answer to that. So okay,
This was quicker than I thought.
so here's one.
I got nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do is, first of all, any questions or what's coming up for y'all right now before, like, are y'all writing down? Are y'all already looking while I'm talking? Or are y'all like, I really don't want to do this? This is usually the conversation that people say, this is the exercise I need to do the most and the one I want to do the least. Tell me how y'all are feeling. Yeah, and this is definitely a homework, hard work. So if you're in a space where like, oh, I need to go back and get access to my info. Yeah. Yeah, so somebody shared in the chat, I feel a bit overwhelmed by the different places the information lives, but lives. So that's why I love this exercise too, because it really, tomorrow I'm going to share tips with you of like what you can do to redirect the flow And we're going to talk about manifesting money tomorrow, and that's a part of that conversation. So I'm going to give you some more tips on that. But this is a really looking at it, doing this audit gives you some insight to your spending habits. It's like, where is all that? And so it's also an opportunity to look at what systems do you currently have in place or could you put in place that would just support you with what your goals are around your goals are with your money and your dreams are with your money. So I totally get that. And yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. But this is really about looking at where are and celebrate, because there may be some things you're writing down that you feel like this is about awareness. I keep saying that word, but it really is about awareness and giving you some insight. And remember, it's the hearts and the smiley face is so, it's not about making drastic changes. There may be for some of you that you're like, there is something like, I got to put the brakes on this expense. That will probably come up. And then for some of you, it's going to be like me, just knowing that the little $10 is trickling out here and there. And what else could we do? Is that really in alignment with what we value? And really taking a look at it. And then it feeds back into your money mindset and your money values when you do this exercise, because then you can ask yourself, is this in alignment with what I value? And then you can just, that supports you in your choices and the habits and the behaviors that you have with your money. I got some good stuff going on in the chat. Yeah. So one of the things, if I can just add a little bit more support for those of you that want to do this with a partner, is I'm the spender in my relationship, and thankfully my husband is the saver in the relationship. So I knew I needed to do this work myself for me. So I needed to look at my habits first and my part of the financial equation before I could sit down and have a conversation with him. That first of all, if I feel like I need to say the Ho'oponopono prayer about 50, and direct it towards him, and just be like, man, I've really, made some bad choices. I mean, to own my shit, basically. I'm just going to put it out there. And to be able to have a conscious conversation about, this is what I'm doing. This is the exercise I'm doing. These are the action steps I'm taking. This is what feels good for me. And then it just opens the door to a bigger conversation, for us to have a bigger conversation about what's important to us, what do we value, what are our money goals right now, and really be able to look at the numbers, because I'm married to a guy that is like engineer numbers. It's really simple. Don't spend more than you make, all those kind of things. And I'm just like, oh, I'm going to go to lunch with a friend and, do this or do that or whatever. So, yeah, it really is a beautiful tool, and an exercise. And so the choice is yours, how you want to do it. For me, what felt good was that I needed to do the work first for myself. So, and I'm just sharing that based on a couple of comments I've seen in the chat. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. I've given you the steps just to kind of help you through the process. And then you just find what works for you. Yeah. So here's the thing, and I strategically put this on day 3 because, realizing where what money mindset is and where it comes from for you, and taking a look at your money values, that's important before you And I think those exercises will support you when you are looking at your expenses, versus if on day one I said, hey, go, I want you to log in real quick to your bank statement, credit card statement, whatever, and we're going to start taking a look at it. So it'd probably be a more emotional experience. So yeah. So here's the thing. You know, in society in general, this is a generalization, talking about money has been taboo. You know, think about your own experience growing up. Some of you, your parents taught you good money habits, and some of you, money was never talked about. You know, it's kind of like the what's caught, not taught type of thing. And so my intention really is for you to be able to have an honest conversation with yourself, with your partner, whoever's important, and be supported while you're doing that. And so just one of the things too I want to just share is just remember when if you don't like the numbers when you get done with this exercise, is just remember your net worth does not equal your self-worth. Your net worth does not equal your self-worth. And if you're feeling pretty good about your money habits, then we want to celebrate that. But I will say, as an entrepreneur, it's really important you know where your money is flowing, both in your personal life and in your business. And I'm excited because I feel like you now have a tool. You could use this tool whenever you want. You could do this monthly. You could automate this and do it with a spreadsheet. Some of you do not like spreadsheets, and so that's okay. You can do it in a journal. You could do it quarterly. I'm not going to say yearly because you need to do it more often. Yeah, I'll get some good chats going on. Okay, I'm going to open it up for Q&A. And the question I'm going to ask y'all a question. What's the first thing, so that you can work on this exercise, what's the first thing you're going to do for yourself to get this exercise going? And if you're already working on it, then share that with the group, please.
Sorry, Kat, I have to pop off, so I will see you guys tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks, Trisha. Thanks for being here.
I actually did it.
What was your first thing you did?
The whole thing.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And before I did it, I was like, you're building a business, have compassion for yourself. The awareness brings in that capacity to be able to change it. So I looked at that end result and I'm with Heather again. And I just said, oh my God, this is what it is. And I haven't even fed myself. And I haven't put gas in my truck, right? Or went and had any fun. But I look at the list and there isn't anything that I could not have. Like, it's not possible outside of the doTERRA purchases per month, which is something that's already been on my radar to maybe, kill your darlings. That's something that, could go for a while. But everything else is it's a must have for business. And so it actually, instead of it bringing me down, I was like, well, if I made X amount of dollars per month, which is my goal, then this is a really great number. So I've been able to spin it to something positive where it's that's under 30% if I'm making X amount of dollars, which is my goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. What just came, thank you for saying that last piece you just said, because how do we set financial goals in our business if we don't know what our expenses are? And if we want our business to pay for our lifestyle and our business expenses, how do we set those goals without knowing what the break-even number is? So we all have our, break-even number for life and business, and then we have a profit, number beyond that. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. And the other thing that was showing up for me in what you said is that we have seasons. And yeah, there are times in our life to invest in our business. And so recognizing that and knowing that, hey, I'm in a season of getting certified. I'm in a season of learning. I'm in a season of putting together a new program, marketing a new program, filling a new program, at launching, all of that fits into launching. So, and just, knowing that and being okay with that. I mean, we each get to choose like what that level is and what we feel comfortable with and what feels in alignment, and giving ourselves permission to invest and to be okay with that. I think the awareness is important because it's time to get into a different season at some point. So if we're constantly just investing and we're not getting emotion and launching, so oftentimes there's money mindset behind that. There's some scarce. I'm not saying that's what's showing up for you, Anne Marie, but just using that as an example. So thank you for contributing that.
To me, this exercise is actually empowering me to soulfully sell, like to remember that selling is being of service. And I have no problem contributing to my cycle of divine prosperity. Like, I will invest in myself, I will invest in my business, but am I allowing people to invest in me and invest in my business? And I'm like, that sometimes is where the block is, where it's like, I do, but do I do it at the same level that I'm investing in myself? So it's like that prosperity cycle for me can get sluggish when I'm not, hey, everybody, I've got conscious business immersion, or I've got a workshop coming up, right? That it's blocking that flow. And then now that I have that awareness of like, that's what my monthly minimum is, then it's like working towards that and beyond. That's what's coming up for me right now.
Awesome. That is so awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So one of the questions I journaled yesterday was, am I telling myself that that making money is difficult? And so you could flip that for today's practice of looking at your expenses. You could say, am I making keeping money difficult? So that's an opportunity to journal as well. Excuse me. But yeah, Anne Marie, I love what you said, because I mean, you've even said it before in other conversations. Am I energetically open for business? And so financially, am I allowing, am I allowing people to say yes to working with me? That's a whole nother conversation, but there's a piece of it I want to just pull out that you said was why this exercise is so crucial, why the money habits and looking at where your money's flowing is so important. Because if you get through this exercise and you're like, wow, I have a lot of output of expenses, I have more money going out that's coming in, so how do I change that? So one is, I'll tell you, and we're going to talk more about it tomorrow, but it's just like you have some choices. It's like you cut your expenses where you can. So, and like you just said, it's like you're pretty streamlined, right now. So you cut your expenses, and you create more money. And then there's different ways that you do that. So but what feels good for you. So we're not talking about working harder. I love that you said earlier the hard work pays off, because for me, looking at our money habits is, yeah, there's always an opportunity to be more strategic with our spending, more strategic with our saving, and then also more strategic with how we make money. But then it's not about deciding I need to go create more money. Like I need to go work harder. So let that just sit for a minute. It obviously fits into this conversation today because I felt the need to share it. But so the connection I want to make for people too. So yeah, so because what I don't want to happen is people get through this exercise and they're like, well, I just need to go make more money, because that's not really the truth. I mean, it could be. Some of us aren't having enough sales conversations, or we need to get really confident in our sales conversations, but yeah, or need to sign up for more trainings. Yeah.
Heather and I are laughing out loud at that one. I just want to reiterate that I said hard work doesn't pay off. That's what I said earlier. Like, just because you work harder doesn't necessarily mean that you make more money. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that came up for me yesterday too. If my value is creative money, then I was like, where am I missing the point? Like, where am I missing the mark? And I have like a low price point offer. I have a little bit more, but I can't sustain that anymore because it's like a one-to-one model and it's not feeling good. I'm like, where am I missing the mark? Like, what creative thing have I not thought of? And I'm like, duh, just create something that's evergreen, that's like, around this like $200 to $500 mark. And so if people aren't ready for this big thing, well, there's still something else going on, and let's see what could happen if I'm putting that offer out there. And so it's like, it might take a little bit of hard work for me to just like initially create it, but not really. And then once it's done, and it can keep generating income. So that's like the example that I came up for myself, where I'm like, okay, if it's like work smarter, not harder, and hard work doesn't pay off, and my value is creative money, what does that look like?
Perfect. I love that. So there's a book called Beach Money, and a friend of mine wrote it, and he is a leader in the direct sales industry, network marketing industry. And so the concept is that you're sitting on the beach making money from something you've already built and created. So yeah, so that's an opportunity for creative money. And that's a beautiful example. And that's the thing with the money values, is like, you get to decide, where you put your energy and where you put your time and what that looks like, for sure. So yeah, and hard work does not necessarily pay off. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack there for sure. So okay, so just remember, so we're going to wrap up really quickly. Just recap today. Money habits exercise. Step 1, you're going to pick a life area that you want to focus on. Step 2 is, and write down all your recurring expenses. Step 2 is just put a check mark on, is it a want or a need? And you get to decide that. And then also step 3 is it love it or leave it? Love it is a heart or smiley face. And leave it is gonna leave it in the trash can. So it's an expense you could do without. You're choosing to release. And so you're gonna take a look at what that looks like to release that and redirect the flow of that money somewhere else that's more aligned with your values. So that is the recap on the assignment. And then just a reminder that this is just about an awareness of your habits when it comes to spending. You could also do this if there's things you want in different life areas, like things you want or feel like you need to spend money on in the future. You could even do yourself a little list, like what is like, to do some projecting, some financial projections. You could write a list of, in a perfect world, or I feel like I need this in 3 months, 6 months in my business, that kind of thing. That's a different class, but there's a lot of different ways that you can use this tool. So I can't wait to celebrate you. Please come back tomorrow and share what the experience, what's coming up for you in the experience. Please also share in the Facebook group any insights you have or what's coming up for you around this exercise. That's another place you can share and bless the community. And then we are right at 12 o'clock. I'm going to stop the recording.